No doubt.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I hear that some people have even, like, tattooed No Doubt.
Yeah, some weirdos. No, Adrian, our drummer, has a No Doubt tattoo right down here on his leg, his little skinny legs. He's got just a traditional No Doubt logo right there. And I have probably 5 or 6 people that I know of that have No Doubt tattoos. This girl that I met in Chicago on our first tour, first time out there, she's like, look, I drew this on my leg, and her whole calf is like I don't know if you've seen some of our shows, we had the Screaming Gwen or whatever, and she had that like right there, and she did it herself. It's like, hi, you are a freak. But it's incredible, that people would, Eric also did all the artwork, for the band for the longest time, and his cartoons and his images are, they're worth making a tattoo out of, and, it's not just like some cheesy thing. It's a cool piece of art. So people have taken advantage of that, I think,
So tell me, you grew up in Orange County, right?
Grew up in Orange County. I still actually live in the same house. I live in Anaheim, and I sleep in my parents' room now. I still live at home. It's crazy, but actually I'm not really living at home since we're touring so much. Kind of living on the road now. I'm cooler now.
Give me an idea what it was like kind of growing up behind the artwork.
Well, there's like lots of different things. I liked living in Anaheim. Now that I'm older, I realize that I liked it. You know what I mean? After being around and stuff. But the music scene, in the beginning, we've been together since '87. So, when we started, it was like there was really no, girl bands, first of all. Around our area that we played with, and to be from Orange County and try to play in LA was like taboo kind of, because they were like, behind the orange curtain, blah, blah, blah. But I think, really, if you really look at it, it's all one big concrete thing. If you drive to Orange County, it's not like you're going to go through fields or anything. It's like one big city. But now it seems like it's almost kind of cool to be from Orange County, which is weird for us, 9 years later. It's like we can almost have pride in it, and that's kind of what we got the idea to do, the Orange Crate art kind of thing, because we're from Orange County and we wanted to like play off the 1930s, 40s Orange Crate thing. And that's how we got our cover.
What did your parents do there? Were they supportive of you playing the music?
When we first started, it was, they made it really clear that, this is going to be, because my brother was in the band at the time. So it was, and for me, I never even dreamed of being in a band. I never sang before this. The only thing I ever sang was like to try to imitate Annie or The Sound of Music or something like that, the Muppet movie. But he's like, okay, we're going to start a band and you're going to sing, kind of like you're doing this. I'm like, okay. So it was like that. And my parents were really clear that, this is, just for fun, and, you got to do school and all that stuff. And we have been going to school. I went to school last semester, so still haven't graduated. But I don't know, as we got, built a following and, had some success, they've always been really supportive, and all the bands, everybody in the band, their parents always come to shows, and they're very supportive now. And my mom gets sad when I say the bad words on stage, but she still comes.
Do you have a musical background as well?
Both of my parents have. My grandma, her whole family, they had like a band, like a family band that they were in. I have this old sepia tone picture of them with all their instruments like sitting all straight. And my dad, he taught guitar in college, and he plays the banjo. That's his new love. He just got a new banjo, and he just sits and plays that all day long. So they forced Eric into doing piano lessons when he was little, who's my brother. And for me, I never had any kind of instrument that I played. I tried to play flute, and I was in marching band in 9th grade, but I kind of faked it the whole time. I was like, woo-hoo, faking it. But singing, I just, it's kind of just something that I didn't even try, just did it.
Tell me about the first time that you did take the stage. Was it a talent?
Yeah, it was a talent show. Gosh, you know everything. You seem like you know everything already. Yeah, it was a talent show at our high school, and we did a Selector cover. It was on my radio, that song on my radio, and I didn't even know the words, so I had like 2 pieces of paper, and I was like standing there singing. And that was our first time on stage, and it was really, we got a really good response. And that's what we said, oh, this is so fun, we should do a real band, and that's why we decided to do No Doubt after that.
Yeah, who else was up on stage with you?
At that time, gosh, we've been through a lot of members in the early days, It seems like the first year we were together was like forever. That whole year and that summer that, when you're that 16 years old, it's like, it was a really long time and we did so much. But, at that time, it was Eric and me, and that was the only actual people that, original members at the time. And then our first official show was opening for the Untouchables in 1987, and it was like in the early days, we were very influenced by the whole ska scene, and specifically the band Madness is the band that I worshipped growing up. I mean, me and Suggs actually were married in my dreams, and I think Eric thought that he was Mike Barson. I think he even quit the band to be like Mike Barson, because Mike Barson quit the band, and you know what I'm saying? But, I don't know. We did like a lot of ska covers in the early days, and we tried to be this two-tone band, and we had a guy singer and me, and it was this interracial like mix, and it was this whole statement we were trying to make, and that was our first show opening for the Untouchables, and they were hot at the time, so it was a big deal. And Tony was there. That was when Tony, our bass player, he was there. So we've been through a lot of different members. And then we finally got Tom and Adrian. Adrian was actually a No Doubt fan in high school. He used to come to our shows and that whole thing. And then when our drummer quit, he decided to try out. And he lied to us, and he said he'd been playing since junior high, and he'd only been playing for like a year, and had just like practiced his butt off to this, to our demo tape. And he was so cute, and he had such a good attitude. He made it. But that was Adrian's story. And he finally fessed up that he said, I'd only been playing a year. And he's actually one of the most improved, musicians. He's really good now. So.
And back at the talent show thing,
right.
So you, Eric, and then did you have like a trumpet
we had
dancers?
Right.
Describe kind of what that was like?
Yeah, that was kind of like, actually, I think my brother actually had an accordion at the time, because he didn't have keyboards, and my dad played accordion. That was another one of his instruments. And he had an accordion, and we had trumpet players. We had John, who was singing, and me, and I can't even remember. It's so far back. But all we were doing was mimicking, the music that we loved at the time, and trying to do that.
And then when you were doing kind of the two-tone, the double vocalist thing, you had you, and then who was the male singer?
Right, John Spence. He was actually the guy. He's the one that came up with No Doubt for the name, and he was the one that wanted so badly to be in a band. That was his dream. He was kind of like an HR Bad Brains influence kind of guy, style-wise. He would do backflips on stage. He wasn't like the best singer in the world, but he was a very good yeller and screamer and very punk. And he was the one that was his dream, to be in a band. I mean, like I said, I was just like clueless. I didn't know what, I wasn't doing anything. Very lazy high school person. But, and he, it was like a year into the band, and none of us really knew that he was so depressed and stuff, but he ended up committing suicide, and it was very traumatic for everybody, especially at that age. And I mean for any age it would be, but for us, we were just, a bunch of young kids, friends, and we had no idea that he was, having problems, and it was very shocking. It was really hard for us, and we decided to keep going. I can't even think back, like, what was going in our heads. We were like, he must have wanted us to keep going, we were just, and we did it, and we actually had our trumpet player at the time start singing, and that's when a lot of the style started changing, because he actually could sing really good, and we started doing a lot of, more melodic things together. And then he got his girlfriend pregnant at age 17 and got married. And then we looked for someone else, because we wanted it to, to be this thing, and we could never find anyone, and that's how it became me by myself. So
was No Doubt a phrase that
John used to use that phrase. I never used that phrase. I always felt awkward using that phrase, but I remember, playing at parties and stuff, and people would come up, well, what's the name of the band, and I'd be like, Well, I think it's No Doubt. We never really sat down and discussed it. And, next thing I knew, it was kind of like too late. I remember we discussed like maybe changing it. Like, is that stupid? No Doubt or whatever. I kind of like it now because, it's something positive, it's uplifting. And I think that's what we're kind of all about in a lot of ways. Even though Tragic Kingdom is kind of tragic and it reflects our tragedies of the past couple of years, it's, I don't know. It still has a humor to it, the record does. So.
I was just going to say, humor and wit seems to be kind of two elements that play in a lot of the songs.
It does. Yeah, I think that, our whole, backbone of being, a ska derivative band or whatever you want to call it, I mean, definitely is one of our influences, and that music to me growing up was compared to everything else, was just so happy, and even though it can be a happy sound, it doesn't mean that like the lyrics or the message isn't, this happy, oh, we're just so happy or anything. I mean, there's still a lot of meaning to a lot of the music and, emotion and stuff. But, no, we definitely at a No Doubt concert, you're going to have fun. And that's like, we're not just standing around on stage. We're up there, entertaining and having a good time. And that's our strongest element, is our live show. That's always been what we're all about, is a live band. And I mean, we struggled for years to try to like get something on tape that reflected our live show. It was really a struggle for us. And I think we finally captured something on this last record. It's the closest we've come to getting something that sounds really energetic, and you can listen to it and figure out what the band's about instead of having to have the visual. I think the visual now is almost like just icing on the cake. So.
What were some of the other names that the band went with in the beginning? Or was it always?
No, it was always No Doubt. We never, I can remember, I'm almost embarrassed, Monkey Business was something that came up. I don't know. But No Doubt was definitely the main one. There was never any change.
Now, was it kind of scary to all of a sudden kind of walk into almost the focal point and kind of, be the solo singer or center focus?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I remember there was one show where me and Alan were playing. That was our second singer. I remember taking a little bit more control and like, cause in the beginning I was pretty, I was timid, I didn't know what I was doing at all. And I still don't. I kind of just get up there and just do whatever comes out. But, I remember at that particular show, like, feeling like, oh, I kind of stepped out a little bit, I could feel it, and, so it was kind of gradual in a way, but, I have such a bad memory. We've been together so long, we've done so many shows, and it's weird. I'm like thinking back.
Okay, we'll fast forward.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's talk about the first single. How did it first was on the Clueless album?
Right.
How did that all come about?
Well, we should probably talk about how hard it was to make this record. I mean, this record was a traumatic experience, which is so ironic that we're on Trauma Records. It's just perfect. I mean, we've been recording this record for over 2 years, nearly 3 years, and we started with another producer. We started with Albie Galutin, who did the Saturday Night Live and stuff, and he did Jellyfish, which I think is amazing. I mean, as far as production goes, and the band's amazing too. But and that was like a real learning experience for us. Like I said, we never had a lot of studio experience. We were always live. We never put anything out for 5 years because we were never satisfied with anything. And when we hooked up with Interscope, that was when we were actually we were recording an album, and then we decided to re-record it with Interscope afterward, and we did it really cheap and still didn't capture exactly what we wanted to capture. But
was it the one that Flea worked on?
No, that was actually before. So it's complicated. That was actually Adrian, our drummer. That was his very first studio experience with Flea, and it was really intimidating for him because Flea would like, okay, well, try this beat, and he would like jump on the set and like play something, and then Adrian would have to like play it. And like I said, he hadn't been playing that long, and it was really, that was a really good learning experience too. I mean, I think the demos turned out really crappy, but the experience was good. And working with Albie, the producer, that whole couple months that we were doing pre-production with him was just such a learning. I mean, he's such a genius, and And then we started working with Matthew Wilder, who did this record, and it was kind of a struggle at first, I don't know, just because we wanted to work with Albie, and it was just really a struggle to make this record. I don't want to go into negative things, but once we started working with Matthew, we really started getting a flow. I mean, especially me and him with the vocals. I don't know, the record has a lot of background vocals, and it's a real studio album in a lot of ways because there's just so much going on. We got the piano, keyboards, strings, sitar, horns, everything. So, what were we talking about? I lost. There's so much to talk about.
Well, actually, was that when the Beacon Street collection also kind of...
Yeah, that's what happened with Beacon Street. We were so frustrated without, we hadn't put a record out in so long, and it was like people were starting to say, what are you guys doing? We were still playing live, but it was like we couldn't afford to tour because we're such a huge band, and it was just, we were just like stumped. We didn't know what to do, and we were locked into this situation, and we had the idea we wanted to do singles vinyl, and we did 2 vinyl singles in our garage because we built a studio in our garage on Beacon Street, and that's our little place we practiced, and we had a 16-track, and that's how we really learned to record. I think it's the best thing. If I could give any advice to anyone about a band, which I'm not really, I wouldn't, but I would say build your own studio and do that, because that's something that it really helped us. And we decided to put Beacon Street out because we had so many songs. We'd written about 60 songs for the record, and we knew that we had to put something out, because to have those lost, it's such a waste of years. I mean, what's a band all about? Music. We got to put it out. So we had the idea, and a month later we had finished CDs in our hand, and so that's proof it doesn't take 3 years to make a record. And I don't consider it an album. I consider it a collection of songs. It kind of is like an appetizer to Tragic Kingdom, and it kind of shows the different directions we were writing in, and it just, I don't know, some of the songs we did in the garage, and some we went to a studio and stayed up all night for 4 days in a row and recorded this record. And I remember we were mixing the last song 5:30 in the morning, and then we had to be at mastering at 9, in Pasadena. So we were we just were a wreck, but it was worth it.
So tell me a little bit about the first single from Tragic Kingdom.
Right, that was the question about 10 minutes ago. Yeah, Just a Girl. It's a weird thing. The song, when we were writing that song, we were me and Tom, our guitar player, we sat down, and we had been going through a streak of writing mid-tempo, slower songs. And for a long time, we were in that mode. And we wanted to write a song that was a new wave type. That was the thing, a theme. I always wanted to write a song called Just a Girl, because I think it's so funny. I mean, Just a Girl is such a sarcastic thing, But in a lot of ways, it's true. It's just a girl, don't make me do that, or whatever. So I thought it was kind of a neat thing. And so we sat down, and Tom made up the riff, and the whole thing really was influenced by, I used to go see, Tony was my boyfriend for 8 years. Another trivia question, but that's our bass player. I used to go see him, at his house, and my dad would get so pissed because I'd be driving around late at night, and, he hated that, and I'd come home late and all that stuff. And I mean, this is just a year ago. I'm 26, and he's still like I said, I sleep in the crib next to their bed. No, but, I just I thought, I want to write a song about what a burden it can be, to be a girl. I mean, just on our last tour, I've become really paranoid, someone's going to get me, or whatever. And I remember we were playing at a school, it was a college, and I had to go to the restroom. Normal little thing that people need to do. And I walk across the street, and I go into the building, and I walk in the building, and there's nobody around. And I'm starting to get a little more, I'm I shouldn't really be here, I should have someone with me. And I'm walking down the hall, and there's nobody, and I'm, every step I'm getting more and more scared. My heart's starting to pound. I'm God, this is stupid. Why do I have to be scared like this, So I'm walking in the bathroom, and I walk in, the lights are off in the bathroom. I'm oh, great. I find the switch, and I'm okay, planning it out. If someone comes in the first door, I'll hear them, and then I'll get my knife or whatever I'm going to do, I get into the restroom stall, I shut the door, and then on the door, rape prevention hotline, right there, a sticker, and I'm just oh God, and that's pretty much sums up what the song's about. It's sitting in your car driving and looking at the person next to you at the light at 3 in the morning going, this is scary, you just never know what's going to happen. I don't think I mean, girls aren't the only one that go through that kind of stuff, but it's definitely a lot more than guys have to, and it's a burden. That's a long explanation of why I wrote that song. I've had people, I've been followed home before, and I mean, it's so funny because I'd be paranoid and I'm thinking, is that guy following me? And actually he was. And I remember I got to the end of my street, we were on a cul-de-sac, and I didn't know what to do because he was coming, and he was, he's coming really slow down the street, and I was like, oh my God, and I just got out and just booked to the door, and the door was open for some reason at my house, and the guy just sat there in his car and he was laughing. And his whole thing was he thought it was funny to like scare me, And my little brother's like, I'm gonna go get him, and I'm like, oh, totally scared. It sucks. It really does suck sometimes.
Do we know what the follow-up single is yet?
Well, when we were putting out, we were deciding between Spiderwebs and Just a Girl, because Spiderwebs was kind of like one of those last-minute songs. We just kind of went in and did it. Like, oh, we got another one, let's just do it really fast. And it was really fresh, and everybody really liked that one. But I don't know. I think there's lots that could be used from the record. I mean, I think Excuse Me, Mister would be a cool single, and singles are weird too. It's like the record's only been out a week or something like that, and we've been playing, and you can already tell that people know that song, They don't really know the rest of the record yet, and it's exciting that they know that one, but I can't wait till, everybody knows all the songs and they're singing along, that's going to be really rewarding.
Well, how did that song come together? Was that, again, in a collaboration type thing? Or?
Yeah, that was, me and Tony, we just one day, because we've been writing, and we almost got to the point where we were like, we were so negative about writing, because we'd been writing for so long, we were like, we're not going to write one more song for him. You know what I mean? It was like, we'll show them, we'll never write a song for him, It was getting to that point, which is horrible. And I just came over one day, I'm like, let's write a song, let's do it, It's like, okay. And we just sat and wrote that song, and that was just obvious. Every song on this record reflects something that happened, and that was just some person annoying me, Everybody has somebody or a few people that are just, annoying. I think everybody can relate. I kind of feel bad about that song. It's kind of mean, but...
Now, you guys were, I guess it was in 94, it was a ski trip, high school ski trip kind of thing. Where was it actually held, and how did you get signed up to do a high school ski trip?
That was last year, wasn't it? Yeah. I don't know how that got set up, but it was kind of fun because we played really neat places, and we got to actually go snowboarding and stuff. I like that kind of stuff where you get to do kind of like vacation stuff. We just got back from Hawaii, which was like unbelievable. It kind of was like, it came up on us so quick because we've been so busy. It was like, oh, I guess today we have to go to Hawaii, And we got there, and it was like paradise. You hear Hawaii is like paradise, and it was great. But the ski thing was it was just a tour that someone put together, and it was kids were like kind of flown in, and it was all really young kids, and it was really fun. I'm trying to think. One of the shows was, we got there and we're like, oh no, this was like 12-year-olds, we're thinking this is just going to be, we didn't know what it was going to be. We were thinking it was going to be lame or whatever, and it ended up being so much fun. Because I think that the younger kids are the ones with the most energy, They really can, the music just is like, they must hear the music, and it's like really exciting for them, Because I remember when I was 16, it ruled my life. Everything's, magnified.
And what's maybe the strangest venue that you guys have had to play in?
I think the strangest venue, this was so long ago, it was probably 88. We played in like a photo mat. It was actually like, where they did, develop film and stuff. I don't even know what it was. It was weird. It was just like one of those, oh God, who put this together shows, but I don't know.
And have you had any, you were talking about, this guy following you home and stuff,
right.
Weird reactions, especially the male fans and stuff, because it seems to be a genre where a lot of guys play all gung-ho.
Yeah.
Interaction.
It's like I was saying in the early days where there was no, in my, area, there was no real girl singers and stuff, and I remember I'd show up to shows, and it'd be like, oh, people would automatically assume, okay, that's probably the tag-along slut girlfriend, of one of the band members, there's no way that person is going to go on stage and sing. And I remember, after every show, get up there, do our thing, and oh, can I have a shirt? You were rad. I didn't think you would be singing. I thought you were just here, Now it's way different. I mean, there's so many more girl bands and stuff. But what was the question? I always do that. Right, yeah, no, I'm just saying that, like, in the early days, too, I mean, it was like a lot of guy reactions automatically are, crude remarks and, rude stuff or whatever. I mean, we played a show with Bad Religion in San Francisco a long time ago. And I was just like, there's this punker guy just, yelling all kinds of stuff I would never repeat. And it was just really scary. But, nowadays it seems like, especially around here, we get a lot of respect because the guys are like, you kick butt. It doesn't matter that it's a girl or a guy up there now. Now it's just like no doubt. And it's, it's a lot different. And it's different with the girls too, because in the early days it was kind of like, oh, who does she think she is up there? It was kind of more like that. Now it's like, bro, we're down to, all the girls. It's really neat. And it hasn't always been like that. We've always, because I had Eric, who was my brother in the band, and Tony, who was my boyfriend for all these years, it was kind of like so natural. It wasn't like I'm with guys. It was just like I'm with my brother and I'm with my boyfriend and my friends. It wasn't. This last tour, I have to admit, because me and Tony have broken up for about a year now, and Eric quit about a year ago. So everything in my life pretty much fell apart about a year ago. It was different. I felt like separated from the guys in a lot of ways. This was like early in the first 2 weeks of the tour. I was like started going into depression. I don't fit in and that kind of thing. But then you know what? They're so rad, all of them. We're all pals, and they all take care of me. They're all really protective of me.
What's Eric on today?
Eric, his whole thing for leaving was, like I said, we had so many hard times. He was just like, he's so creative and so talented. He's the kind of guy that his satisfaction is sitting in his room and writing songs. And that's all he needs, Maybe show him to like one of his friends. That would be really exciting. But he hated touring and dealing with, when you're in a band, it becomes almost like a business, and he just hated that whole side of it. And he was always an artist. He's always drawn since I was born, He's always drawn, and he decided to go on and do animation full time. He does The Simpsons. He's done Ren and Stimpy. He's done Mighty Mouse. He's done everything. So he's really happy now that when you have two really strong talents, songwriting and then art, it's kind of like you're pulling between the two. I think this is my thing. I would think that to pick one and like go with it, it would be it would feel really good. And he's really happy doing that now. I could see him still doing music in the future. I wouldn't even be opposed to writing with him in the future. He's a genius. He wrote Don't Speak and The Climb and Tragic Kingdom are like some of my favorite songs on the record.
It's the one from that feel like losing a best friend. Is that almost what it was like, especially in the beginning of this tour?
Actually, he wrote the music to that. I wrote the lyrics, and that song actually had different lyrics before. It was more like a happy song. It was like, don't speak, 'cause I know you so good and you're great and blah, blah, blah. And we ended up rewriting the song, and now it's like the saddest song in the world. But no, that's definitely a reflection of me and my life. No. You know what? That's the thing about sad songs. I think that sad songs can make you feel really happy because they're so good and they're so real that you hear them. And for me, after a song's written, a song like Happy Now, for instance, is just the meanest, most angry song, on the record. And I still, when I sing it, I'm not sitting there going, oh, I hate you, I'm pissed. It's more like, it just makes me feel good that we wrote this song and people can enjoy it, and that every time we play it, I enjoy singing it, so I think sad songs make people happy.